Hey everybody, welcome to Strumming with Christopher. I'm Christopher Gallegos with Monterey County Free Library's Gonzales branch. So we've learned quite a few skills now, and we have a lot of things we can do on the guitar. But the next step, I think, not to say the technique is over, but the next step is to start getting familiar with styles of music. And maybe more specifically, how the guitar fits into different styles of music. So what is a style of music? Well, think about things you heard. Rock, blues, country, reggae, classical, opera. It goes on and on. But a style generally is defined by the types of chords that are used, the types of rhythms, how many instruments in a group, the type of singing. Sometimes there's no singing. But guitar is special because guitar fits into a lot of different types of music. I can't tell you why it got so popular, but it shows up all over the world in all different types of music. So we're actually playing a very special instrument because we can use it for a lot. It's not like if you're playing a cello or something, which I love the cello. Love a little yo-yo ma, but mostly a classical instrument, right? Trombone, you mostly see in high school jazz bands. Accordion you see in certain regional styles of music, but guitar can fit into a lot of places. So that's cool. So I want to do a little bit of an exploration into how the skills we have now can be applied to styles of music. You might start realizing as you go along with your guitar journey, hey, I want to play folk music. Hey, I want to play country music. Hey, I want to play rock, whatever, right? I played heavy metal when I was 19 and 20, and even then I was listening to jazz and electronic music. I wasn't listening to any guitar music. And eventually I ditched all the electric guitar stuff and went with an acoustic and never looked back. And that's just something that developed naturally. And that might happen to you. You might find that you start listening to music you never did before just to hear how guitar is used. It's fun. It's fun. So I want to talk about the blues for 2 episodes. And in today's episode, I want to talk to you about a type of chord that we haven't covered yet. And this chord mostly shows up in blues music. So even if you're not a fan of the blues, a lot of music comes from the blues. A lot of artists borrow from the blues. It's truly an American art form. Rock music comes from the blues. Jazz comes from the blues. You could even say heavy metal comes from the blues in some way. So there's a lot of really important artists that are out there that borrow from the blues. Jimi Hendrix is essentially playing the blues. Led Zeppelin, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and you go back to the original blues man himself, Robert Johnson, king of the Delta blues singers. It sounded like various people were playing at once. He was that good. And so I want to talk to you about 7th chords, which are the type of chord you hear mostly with rhythm guitar. And I want to talk about a 12-bar blues, and that'll be next episode. And a 12-bar blues is just a kind of a way of structuring 3 chords, and it's a very familiar formula to us. It's very similar to the 1-4-5 progression we learned at one point. So the 7th chord, mostly a blues chord. In jazz, it ends up becoming things like a 13th chord or a minor 9th or major 9th, right? But a 7th chord is essentially in between a major and a minor chord. And so it doesn't really have a happy major sound or a sad minor sound. It's kind of in the middle. Or up here you might have major, minor, 7th. So it's kind of in between a major and a minor sound. And it's that tension that kind of gives the blues its flavor, right? And we've already learned a minor pentatonic scale, which is the scale you hear in blues solos. So we're already halfway there. But rhythm guitar is always the bedrock of anything, I think, when you're learning a style. So let's get into it. So we already know major bar chords based on an E major shape. And for this example, a D major chord, but it's based on an A major shape. Don't get so caught up on what chord you're playing. Think about the fact that you can move around, and we'll learn the names later, okay? But this first chord shape, this bar chord shape that we already know, which is based off an E major shape, but in this case is on fret 5 and is an A major just because it's on fret 5. We already know this shape, okay? So you're barring all 5 strings on the 5th fret with your index finger, and then you have your middle finger on the G string, right? On fret 3, and then you have your ring finger, A string, 7th fret, pinky, D string, 7th fret, and that's your major. So we already know that. Your major bar chord shape based on an E major. And to make a 7th chord, all you're going to do to make this movable 7th chord shape, you're going to take your pinky off, and so that will leave you with, you still have the bar, and then you have your middle finger still on the G string, 6th fret, and then you have your ring finger here on the A string, 7th fret, and that's a 7th chord shape that you can move. Right? Pretty easy, huh? So then we have the other bar chord shape we learned that kind of takes its cue from the first 5 strings, and the A string is where your bass note is here. And A major chord, you usually use 3 fingers, but just for ease, you can still do it this way, but it's painful, right? So I taught it to you all with this kind of thing where you have the first 5 strings barred, not all 6, just the first 5. You don't use this low E. And then you move over to the 7th fret. In this case, we're doing this is a D major chord, even though it's based on an A shape. Don't get confused. I know it's weird, right? So we have first 5 frets barred for this example. And then you have your ring finger goes to fret 7 and kind of mashes down the D, G, and B string, and you have that shape. So that's the shape we know already. It's just a little review. But with a 7th chord, it's going to be a little bit different here. So you're going to use 2 fingers instead of this 1. So you still have your bar here. Remember, we're at the 5th fret for this example. Still have your bar on the first 5 strings. No low E. Don't play the low E if you can avoid it when you're strumming. Try to avoid it. And you're going to get your pinky, and you're going to put that on the 7th fret, B string, 2nd string up. Then you're going to skip this G string here, and then you're going to use your ring finger to go to the D string on 7. So you have this is kind of your little basic shape, and then you bar it. It would be an A7 shape up here, right? Okay, so we have that shape, and that is a 7th bar chord that you can also play. So we have these 2 chords shapes now. So we already know the major would sound like this. Let me see if I can get my whole thing in here. Major, 7th we have. So yeah, it's really just a difference of 1 note with each chord. And it's that 1 note that gives the chord its particular quality. Major. 7th. Major. 7th. Okay, so it's not that complicated. These things, I know sometimes in a 10-minute video, it sounds like I'm talking really fast, but I thank you all for sticking with me, and you can always watch it again. Just remember the major chord shapes that we already know, and hopefully you've been practicing them this whole time. It's not just one video and then stop. I mean, these things all build on each other. All you do is you take 1 finger off in each case. So pinky off in this case, and in this example, instead of mashing, it's these 2 fingers. And what you end up having is you have a movable bar chord shape, just like the major and the minor chords that can go anywhere. So for example, you don't have to stay at 5. Or down here, you can. Okay, so practice those 7th chord shapes a little bit, major 7th chord shapes, and that will get us ready to talk about the 12-bar blues next time, which utilizes these chords. And 12-bar blues is the foundation of a solid blues education. And maybe you'll start even hearing this kind of stuff in different types of music once we've talked about it. So I'm glad we're at this point in our journey talking about styles of music. And as always, I thank you all for tuning in and excited to see you next time. Thanks, everybody. Keep practicing.